Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about Zhongli. So, one thing I want to say before we get too far into this is if there's a character that you like and you want to play as that character, if you want to pull for that character, like it doesn't matter about their performance and things like that. Ultimately, you need to pick and play the characters that make you enjoy the game. Because if you're just going to be, you know, um, playing the meta and playing the best units you have, if you're not having fun with the game, you're going to end up getting bored and wanting to drop it anyway. So, that being said, a lot of what we're going to be talking about in our character reviews like this is going to be what is the particular unit really good at, and are they good when compared to other characters that do a similar function, and maybe even the same role in some cases. With that in mind, let's remember that when I'm making content like this and we're talking about whether or not a unit is good, let's keep in mind that we're talking about people maybe who are either free to play, looking to spend their saved primos, or people that maybe won't be able to, spend a lot of money on the game. Maybe they are gonna get themselves a holiday gift or something like that in the form of a character. So this is just going to be, again, assessing whether or not a character is strong in the role that they are actually meant to play. And the reason for that is because you can take any character in Genshin Impact and you can make them into whatever you want as long as their abilities in general support it. If you want to take Barbara, for example, and make her a main DPS, that is entirely possible, although, it will take the right gear, and, you do have to be somewhat understanding that, like, your ceiling is going to be capped, right? Because she's not designed to be a damage dealer. But every character works that way in Genshin Impact. If you want to take Mona and be a main DPS, that is entirely possible and viable in most content of the game. However, you have to understand that by doing that, you are inherently making your ceiling lower than what it could be with a unit that's better at that particular role. So if I decide to make Mona my number one main DPS, it's going to make it quite a bit harder to get through, maybe floor 12 and things like that, because you're not playing to the character's strengths and weaknesses. So this is my Zhongli. He has 1573 attack and pretty awful rest of his stats, but think of this as just a base form. So pretty awful crit and crit damage, and then a little bit of energy recharge, not a ton. Um, so again, this is a very basic form for Zhongli, not in tip-top shape. We're going to be talking about all of his abilities and stuff like that. So for his artifacts, this is the stuff that I was running. So I originally intended to, as we can see from the attributes, I was originally intending to make him an attacker. Um, and I found myself falling into the trap of not using a unit for what it's necessarily good at. And I just wanted to see how much damage I could make his ultimate just do. Um, so let's just take a look at his talents. So his attack damage leaves quite a lot to be desired. I'll go ahead and throw up an image so you guys can see. At level 15, his normal attacks do less than Ling, and she's a 4-star. She actually, although a lot of people may disagree, she actually does fit a similar role to what we got Ling here for. And the reason for that is because both characters can do a lot of their kit and then get off the battlefield. And I don't think either one of them really specializes in using their normal attacks. So much like Fischl, characters like that, they can throw their E's down and then, come in, do an ultimate, and then peace out. And you still get a lot of the benefits. Um, and so because of that, his normal attack damage being less than Ling is pretty not great and very unimpressive. He does have a 6-hit attack, which does, I think, 50% less. You'll be able to see on the chart that you're going to see in front of you. And then I may try and include a total damage somewhere in that chart as well. But anyway, the point being is that his normal attacks do less than a 4-star character that is a similar role and the same weapon type. Um, So then his E skill throws down an obelisk or something like that to resonate with other geo constructs. It does a little bit of damage when it's summoned, and then the resonating is what it's going to be mainly used for. It works really well with the Geo MC. We're going to include some footage at the end, and I think that actually this ability here is something people are going to be underutilizing. Most people don't like running the Geo MC. However, this ability synergizes really, really well with the Geo MC. The ultimate, each section of the Geo MC's ultimate, as well as the meteors from the Geo MC's E abilities, they all resonate if they're within the pillar, or within the range of the pillar. So it actually can do a big, like several pulses of AoE. So if you have fighting a lot in ads, if you are fighting big ads, this can help you with more extra damage if this is the route that you want to take. As well as being an Earth synergizer for the Geo MC, they're going to be able to proc more ults for each other and stuff like that. So the next thing about his E skill is that if you hold his E skill, it will, one, really cool in the open world, it breaks all rocks and crystal fragments and stuff like that you might be farming, all the iron, white iron, stuff like that. But also, if you hold it, it will give you a shield that scales based off max HP. So this shield can have 100% uptime. It's a 20-second shield duration with 12 seconds on a cooldown. So, you can have a lot of overlap there. And this kind of leads into why maybe the build that I built for him isn't the best. Because as you can see, this shield, which is something that is somewhat unique so far in his kit, it scales off of max HP, right? Not attack. So already the way that we were building him doesn't really synergize super well with this. For his ultimate is very, very cool. It does a fair bit of damage. I'll go ahead and throw the damage numbers up there for you guys to see again. And as you can see, it does over 1100, almost 1200 attack percentage, which is pretty strong. Very strong. Before this, Child was one of our main hard hitters. The problem being is that damage doesn't take into effect with anything like Vaporize or anything like that, because Geo is inherently not designed to do damage. It is not what it's good at. So they make the multipliers be higher for its base form because it can't proc any elemental reactions. So at the end of the day, if you are doing a Vaporize with Child or, lots of other characters, you're going to be able to do more damage than Zhongli. But the benefit that Zhongli's ultimate has here is the Petrification, which is a form of CC that works through shields. So if you're fighting a Fatui mage, if you're fighting any of the other Fatuis, or anything in the game that has shields, as well as like Ruin Guards and things like that, you're going to be able to petrify them, meaning that they won't be able to attack you, and I think in a lot of cases it will actually be able to cancel their casts and stuff like that, which could be extremely valuable for sure. The energy cost is pretty low, and the cooldown is also pretty low here, so you can have a fair bit of uptime for this petrification throughout the course of a fight, maybe in the abyss and things like that. The problem comes back to how are you going to build him, and are you going to have a team that can work well enough with him in your party also allowing you to do other elemental reactions, or will you have enough damage? So let's go on to the next thing. So when the Jade Shield takes damage, it will fortify. The Jade Shield is the E. When you hold it, you get the Jade Shield. Again, scaling based off his max HP. So fortified characters have a 5% increased shield strength up to 5 times. So 25% extra shield strength. Pretty good. Nice little passive. And then Dominance of Earth. So Planetfall, which is his ultimate, just deals extra damage equal to 33% of Zhongli's max HP. So what does this all mean? This means that by scaling him with HP, it means you can make him an extremely high survivable character. You can get him, big big, whales and stuff like that have gotten him to like 45k, 50k HP, which means that your shields and stuff like that are going to be even bigger, right? Because of that, you're going to have a lot of survivability, which in some cases may make all the difference, right? And also the fact that shields a lot of the time will allow you to avoid things like knockback and things like that, which are also, downtime and damage, as well as really irritating to deal with. Alright, so let's go ahead and go back and talk about his ultimate for a second. If you look at the numbers that I'm showing you, right? And then I'm going to throw this image up that I'm going to have right now is going to be Zhongli's multipliers as well as Child's multipliers. So if you compare the two, you'll see that they're actually pretty close. However, Zhongli does do more damage with just those multipliers. But the thing you have to remember about this, right, is the fact that he cannot take advantage of any elemental reactions in the game. Crystallize doesn't do like a bunch of extra damage. But Child can vaporize his ultimate, which means that his ultimate will literally do twice as much damage, which means he's effectively doing, or has the ability to do twice as much damage as Zhongli. So that's kind of where Geo characters in particular fall short. Their base kits are able to put out a little more damage to try and compensate for not being able to do those higher elemental reactions, which is cool. But in Zhongli's case, his damage actually just isn't that good. Even with taking into consideration that 33% HP, if you were to try and maximize his attack and his HP, it's just not going to get you up high enough to where Child can just maximize his attack and then vaporize. Like, there's no amount of attack that you can give this character or HP that you can give this character that will make up the difference there. There's just not. So what does that mean, right? So it means that Zhongli is effectively not there to be a damage dealer. MiHoYo has even said this in their most recent posts. A lot of people were hoping that Zhongli, myself included, he was gonna get a buff. And hopefully, even maybe just buffing his normal attack damage, because as we talked about earlier, his attack being worse than a 4-star is kind of rough. But they made it very clear that actually the way that they intended to use this character, and for us to use it, is to make him a really high survivability character. So that's the reason why his ultimate scales off of HP and things like that. And so what that means, coming back to everything, full circle here, is that actually, I think the way that I'm going to use Zhongli in the future, I'm not going to build him for attack whatsoever. I'm going to build him strictly for HP and survivability. So HP, energy recharge, things like that. Anything that's going to help me get those shields out there more, and then also get the petrification out there more, in between, using my other characters. That being said, I've spent money on this game. I have a lot of really high damaging characters, and I'm not worried about any DPS checkpoints in the game. There's nothing in the game right now that with the characters that I have, I won't be able to clear. That's not the same for you guys necessarily. For some of you, it might be. If you are a whale and you want to pull for Zhongli, get C6 Zhongli, go for it, But if you're somebody who, may have 1, maybe 2 5-star units and you're wondering if ultimately you need to pull for Zhongli, no, not at all. Alright, I'm going to put some footage on in the background from when we were testing him on stream and kind of show you guys how I do think that if you really like Zhongli and you really want to pull for him, even understanding some of the downsides that we've already talked about, how he works really, really well with the Geo MC in particular. The way that his E skill works and the fact that you're getting the same energy from the same type of character, the Geo characters, is extremely valuable for both of those characters. And I think it just has to do with how the characters are designed and kind of a unique synergy that only those two really have. There's not really any characters I feel like in the game that work that strongly together as those two. So overall, my thoughts on Zhongli, um, he's an interesting character, and I think he, can do a lot of really cool things as far as his shield and his petrification is concerned. Um, but he's not a damage dealer, and to be honest, the way that the game works right now is damage is king. And, even in this case that you're seeing above, like where he's working really well with the Geo MC, it's still not going to be amazing damage even with really good gear. Um, that being said, if you have really good damage units already and you're not worried about any DPS checks in the game, like Zhongli can give you a good safety net. He can make you feel, like you're just not going to have to worry about losing or anything like that. And, especially for mobile players and stuff like that, I imagine that some of the, iframing and stuff like that is much, much harder on mobile. And I know myself when I played on mobile, that has been a huge issue for me, is like getting the timing down. Not to say that there aren't good players on mobile who can do it, I'm just not one of them. So when I play on mobile, I'll be using, a character like Zhongli to give me a little extra safety net and stuff like that. Um, but overall, like, can I recommend him? Do I feel like, a free to play should go for him? No, I just don't. I think that as a free to play player, you're just going to be having such a hard time with the DPS checks in the game, at least at the moment now, and probably into the future, that you just won't really be able to afford a character like Zhongli. Now, if you got him to C6 and you can use him as a healer as well, as all the other stuff, giving more shields in co-op and things like that, then maybe that's a little bit of a different story. But if you have the ability to get him to C6, then I imagine you're probably not the free-to-play player that we're really talking about here. And in which case, go for it. He, even in co-op, trying to line it up with the Geo MC was a pretty fun time. And like even just trying to get that little skill down, right? Like as you guys can see, like trying to position the pillar in the perfect spot. So like there's different things that you can enjoy about this character, even if he doesn't do the most damage. But again, as a free to play or as somebody who spends little to like no money, so like Minnow or Dolphin, I would not recommend this character. I think ultimately in the future, if they end up changing elemental reactions for Geo and how their entire system works, maybe if they add some kind of threat mechanic or something to Geo, then maybe we could talk about it. But I think that Geos are inherently weaker, and right now you're just better off using a character like Noelle, who can heal and give you shields, or Diona, who can heal and give you shields, instead of a character that can only give you shields in their C0 form. Alright guys, well that is going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. I really greatly appreciate the support as always. I know it's kind of a bit of a longer video, but we went into some numbers and stuff like that, so hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys in the next one. So feel free to visit us on twitch.tv/Zarenesson. That's kind of where we did some of this testing that you're seeing right now. And I'll catch you guys later.